Hello everyone, and as we were talking about the Chaajao paper, we are going to continue with that. Today we are going to focus on the two components from the expressions of ideas. Normally this is the component that is towards the end of the paper, and it has around 5 to 7 questions in both the modules. So like always, the first part normally involves the transition questions. Now these transition questions have to do with the relationship of the two sentences, right? So you may have multiple sentences, and the transition sentences will ask you whether or not you understand or judge the relationship between the two sentences. So if you look at it over here, the first sentence says, space scientist Christine Chen is excited about the potential of the new James Webb Space Telescope. Unlike its predecessor, the Hubble telescope, the JWST, is primarily an infrared telescope. Most light from distant galaxies is infrared blank. We don't know that. The JWST can provide Chen and her team much more information about these galaxies than the Hubble could. Now, the James Webb is made up of infrared. It is that infrared telescope, and most of the light from distant galaxies is infrared. That is what they're saying. So that is a similarity. So that is why it can be a reason that it can provide more information about the distant galaxies, right? So if this is a reason, you have to not go with contrast, you cannot go with additionally, you cannot go with actually, you have to go with something that tells you the reason of it, right? So the reason is only told by consequently. Consequently basically means as a result. So as a result of something, consequence of something, this happens, right? So that is why the best answer for this question will be option B. Now, looking at this question, it says during many historic New York City parades, including the 1952 ticker tape parade for US Olympic champions, the ribbon-like swirls descending on the scene were paper spools from tickers, telegraph machines, and they were used to transmit stock prices. The tickers had long since been retired by the time of the parade for the New York Mets in 1986. So then shredded standard paper enriched the celebration. So you have to see the two sentences that are being connected, right? So the first sentence, it says, it starts from the beginning, right? So it says that during the many historic New York City parades, including this, the ribbon-like swirls descending from the scene were paper spools from ticker telegraph machines that were used to transmit stock prices. So how they used to transmit stock prices, that is what is being told in the first sentence. If you look at the second sentence, it says the tickers had long since been retired by the time of parade of the New York Mets in 1986. So it has been retired in 1986 and it was used in the 1952, right? So from 1952 or maybe before that till 1986. So that means you do not have any example to it, you do not have any consequence to it, right? You can eliminate option B and you can eliminate option D, because we know for a fact that this is not happening. But if you look at option A and if you look at option C, right? So this is something you have to, in addition can be used anywhere. Whenever you have something in addition, you can use it. But you have to see whether, of course, can be written over here. If you read the third sentence, it says the shredded paper enriched the celebration. So you have something new, right? So for definite, you had eliminated this word. So the better answer for this question over here will be option A. Now this is a rhetorical synthesis question. When you have the rhetorical synthesis questions, these questions are basically related to finding the relevant part of the points that we have, right? So you have to work with relevance. Now the best way to solve these questions is to first see the points that you have, and then you identify the task that is given in the question, so that when you see the task, you find out the part from the options that is as per the task that is there, right? So if you read the question first, it says which choice most effectively uses the information from the given sentences to emphasize a difference between two birds. So you have to find the information amongst all the facts that you have that shows the difference between the two birds, right? Now if you start reading it, it says Birds of the Northern South America is an identification guidebook by ornithologists Robin Riestall, Clementia Rodner, and Miguel Latino, right? It lists the 35 hummingbird species found in Suriname. The horned sungam is a medium-sized hummingbird found in Suriname. It is identifiable by its distinctive multicolored tufted crown and its short, black and straight bill. The ruby topaz hummingbird is a small hummingbird found in Suriname, right? It is identifiable by its crimson crown and its short, black curved bill. So it is the short black straight bill and then you have the curved bill. So you need something that has to show the difference. If you read option A, it says one way to distinguish the horned sturgeon from the ruby topaz hummingbird is to look at their bills, right? That is what it says over here in the information. The horned sturgeon is straight, whereas the ruby topaz hummingbird is curved, right? So that is what the passage also say, right? The information that we have in the passage. A looks to be the best answer, so we will be taking as the answer. So we will be eliminating B, C and D because that is what the difference is. Even if you read the rest of the options, obviously you won't be finding any of the option that is better. You can pause the video and read it out, but again the best answer or the answer that shows the difference between the two, it's only option A over here. Now if you read this question, it says, while researching a topic, a student has taken the following notes. This is normally consistent with all the questions of rhetorical synthesis, so we can read the task so that we can understand what's going on over here. So if you read the task, it says the student wants to emphasize the difference between French Republican and Gregorian calendars. Which choice most effectively uses relevant information from the notes to accomplish this goal? So you have to find a difference between French Republican and Gregorian calendars, right? So difference between these two. So when you go to find the difference, the first sentence says the French Republican calendar replaced the Gregorian calendar in France from 1793 to 1805. Both calendars are divided in 12 months. The timelines for months don't match. The third month of the French Republican calendar, Fremaire, begins during November and 11th month of the Gregorian calendar. The fourth month of the French Republic calendar, Novizo, begins during the December 12th month of the Gregorian calendar. So you need a difference. So that is maybe going to be the start of the months or however you're going to take it, but you have to find an option that talks about the difference between these two calendars, right? So if you look at option A, it says used in France from 1790 to 1805. The French Republican calendar includes the months of Fremaire and Novosi, the third and fourth months of the year. So this is just what the French Republic includes, and there is no difference. So this won't be the answer. If you look at option B, it says the timelines for the months of the two calendars don't match. For example, the third month of the French Republican calendar begins during the 11th month of the Gregorian calendar. So their timelines don't match. This is one of the differences that we have, right? So this is exactly what the task is. So we have to identify what the task is, and we have to find, because the task over here is to find the difference, you're going to go with that, and that is why the best answer over here will be option B. Now again, let's try to look with it, because again this is relevant, so you have to find amongst all these points the relevant part. And what is that relevant part? The student wants to compare the hardness of the three minerals. Which choice most effectively uses relevant information from the notes to accomplish this goal? So you have to find the hardness of the three minerals, right? Hardness of the three minerals. So you have to compare that. So if you talk about that, the mineral fluoride has a scale of number 4, it has of 7, and it has of 9, right? So a Mohs scale of mineral hardness is a 10-point scale that orders minerals by hardness based on their ability to scratch other minerals. Minerals with larger numbers are harder than minerals with smaller numbers and can leave visible scratches on them. Minerals with smaller numbers are softer than minerals with larger numbers and cannot leave visible scratches on them. So this is what the difference is. And again, an option that has all the three will be your answer. If you look at option A, it says based on their Mohs scales numbers, corundum 9 is harder than quartz 7, and quartz is harder than fluoride 4. So you have the comparison of all the three over here. That is why you're going to take option A as your answer. For certainty, you can always read the other options as well, so that you can be sure you're taking the right answer. But normally when you have something so clear and relevant written in an option that is, as per what has been required, even if you leave out on the options, if you don't have time, that is also fine. But you have to be sure that it is completely, talking about the task, and it is fulfilling the task that has been given at hand, right? So option A over here will be the best answer. Now, if you look at this question, it says, while researching a topic, a student has taken the following notes. Which choice most effectively uses information from the given sentences to begin a narration of Mexia's collection of acrolein Watherinia, right? So this is where you have to find the narration, right? So the narration of the collection. And if you look at it, it says Mexia was an American botanist, Mexican American botanist. Between 1917 and 1938, she collected over 150,000 botanical samples throughout the Americas. She collected a sample of acrolein in Minas Gerais, Brazil on May 3rd of the 1930, and she collected a sample of this in Alaska. So you are being asked about, the acrolein, right? So this is basically over here on the May 3rd of 1930. This is what you have to talk about. So if you look at the option, it's not there in option A. It's there in option B. It was on May the 3rd, 1930 in the state of Minas Gerais that Ness Mexia added a new specimen to her growing collection of botanical samples, Acrolein Watharia of the Asteroids family. So the best answer over here will be option B. So if you looked at it, the two questions that we did from the transitions were about how we relate the two sentences or how we make a connection or cohesion between the two sentences. And the questions that are related to rhetorical synthesis, they are basically about relevance. So how we find the task or how we solve the task or how we find whatever is given to us in the task within the information. So you'll have information that has many points. Some of them will be extra, some of them will be redundant, some of them may be not needed, and you have to find whatever is there in the task, whatever is there in the question, and that is going to be the option that will be your answer most of the times, right? So the best answer over here will be option B, and that is how you solve expression of ideas question. So this was the June paper. I hope it will help you for your preparation in the SCT. Thank you so much.